everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather, and this video we are going to be theming my reads based off of Valentine's colors. I was looking ahead at my schedule for uploading videos, and I've been trying to do vlogs on Mondays and book videos on Fridays, and it just so happens that Valentine's Day is on a Friday this year, so I figured might as well take the opportunity to do a themed video and pick some books that have red and pink covers to celebrate the occasion. So I picked 3 books. This is probably not the most Valentine's-esque genres of books. I do not really read romance. It's just not something that I find interesting. And so these are my red and pink covered books that are not really fantasy, or that are not really romance Valentine's appropriate, but you know, they're red and pink, so that is as Valentine's themed as I am going to be getting. So the first one that I've picked is actually on the Kindle. I've recently, if you've been watching my vlogs, I got my library card set up on Libby so that I could get library books on the Kindle. So the first one is actually going to be on here. This is going to be my first full book. I've read 1 novella on the Kindle and I liked it. It went pretty good. So the first one is The Girls I've Been by Tessa Sharp. I'll probably just put the cover up because you can't really see it on here, but this one is a red cover even though it's black and white on the Kindle. But this one is a YA thriller mystery type of a book where basically she grew up with her mom as a con artist, and then she got out and ended up putting her mom in jail, and so now you're following her a little while later and she is caught with her friends in a bank robbery. So that's the first book, and then the second book, to break it up from mystery thriller, is going to be Foul Lady Fortune by Chloe Gong. This is the 3rd book in the overall Secret Shanghai series, but it's technically the first book of a duology. So basically how the series works is there's 2 duologies and then there's like a novella type of a book, I believe, that I think you read after this. So I read last year the These Violent Delights Are Violent Ends duo, and so now I'm on to this one. This is the next one in the series for my reading order, so I'm gonna pick this one up. I'm super excited about this one. I've really been loving the series so far, so I'm very excited to continue. So this is gonna be my pink book. And then I feel like 3 is a good number for a reading vlog, so I also picked The Magpie Murders by Anthony Horowitz. This one is obviously another mystery thriller book. I think it's probably more on the mystery side. I've been listening to the Hawthorne and Horowitz series by this author, but I'm very interested to try out something that is in a different series with different characters, so that's what this one is. So that's my 3 red and pink cover books that I'm going to be reading in this video, and we're just going to do a little bit of a reading vlog in preparation for Valentine's Day. I've actually already started The Girls I've Been reading it on the Kindle, obviously. I started it last night and I am already 16% through this book, so 50 pages in, and it is very quick paced. It gets you jump right into it. Like within a couple pages they're already being held hostage in this bank, and you're just diving right in, and then it's kind of giving you like flashbacks or excerpts into other things to kind of fill in all of the background information about the characters. But so far I'm enjoying it. It's not like anything crazy yet, but it's good. It's very fast-paced, very bingeable, so I'm gonna go and continue reading this one. Hopefully I will have this one done pretty soon. I don't know if I'll update in the middle of the book or not, because sometimes I feel like mysteries, it's hard to really say that much about them without spoiling it, so that's kind of where I'm at on this. I'm gonna go continue reading this book and then I will check in at some point. This lighting's really just not great, but I just finished The Girls I've Been and I figured I'd just go ahead and chat about it because I don't think I need a ton of time to formulate my thoughts on it. First main reaction to this book is I feel like this one isn't really truly YA in my mind. It's younger characters, which I feel like a lot of times things get classified as YA that just really don't fit in the YA category content-wise in my mind. But just because the characters are like teenagers, it's YA. And this book has a lot of swearing, a lot of F words, and it has a lot of really heavy topics about pretty much every type of abuse you can think of. And it's pretty explicit in it. So there is just so much stuff in this book that is just, I don't know, I feel like it should be labeled somehow to give people more warning. And like there's a note at the end about the domestic abuse and it lists the hotlines and stuff, but I don't remember there being a note at the beginning. Maybe I just missed it in figuring out the Kindle and stuff, but I don't recall there being like a trigger warning note at the beginning, but there's like hotline information at the end. So I don't know, it just feels like this just gets treated like any other YA mystery, but it's got a lot of really heavy stuff in it and a lot of content that I just do not feel like fits in the YA genre in my mind. So that's my biggest gripe. I think I'm gonna give it like 2.75, 3 stars. I just don't feel like the plot was that good for as much stuff as I didn't like. I also just am not, like, I'm a very plot driven person, especially when it comes to mystery thriller books. And so when we kept getting sidetracked by all of these like relationship things, it just slowed it down. Like the actual plot could have been, I don't know, maybe like 2/3 of the book, and then the other third was just other stuff. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I don't feel like when I read a mystery and thriller that I need to be super connected or have the full like emotional connection to the characters. I just like, they're there for the way that they further the plot and they're there to be suspects, not necessarily because I want to feel like a crazy strong connection to the characters in this book. So I don't know, it's not something that bugs me so much in other genres, but specifically when it's like a thriller fast-paced book, like I'm there for the plot. And I just feel like there was a lot of things that just never really got explained. Like they're in this bank robbery and there's these guys holding up the bank, but you never really get an explanation of who the guys are, why they're robbing the bank, anything like that. Like it is much more of like a character study on these 3 people that are getting over different types of abuse and how they've come together. It's less so about the thriller mystery part. It also gets very gory in a few parts. So there was definitely some spots where I was pretty much just skimming through pages because it was, I don't do blood very well. If you don't know me personally, you might not know that, but I pass out. It's a whole thing. Even if it's not like visual, I will pass out. So there's definitely hardcore skimming in a few parts because it got pretty gory. And so yeah, that's my overall thoughts. Not my favorite book in the world. I definitely got through it fast. It definitely is a quick read, short chapters kind of a book, but just not what I wanted from it, and definitely needs a lot more trigger warnings than what people are talking about on the internet. Okay, that being said, I am now on to my next book. I'm going to split the 2 mystery thriller books up, so we're going to jump into Foul Lady Fortune next, and I'm super excited about this one. I love this author's writing. I love the world she's created with the Secret Shanghai series, and I'm really excited to get into this one. So this one will be a very interesting book. I don't know the Shakespeare story that this one's based off of nearly as well as I know Romeo and Juliet. I'm not even sure that I know what it is, but I'm interested to see where we go with all of the characters and stuff. I will say this doesn't follow my favorite character from the first books. I like her sister more. I'm hoping we get lots of appearances from some of the other characters and from some of the other side characters that I like better. So I don't know, we'll see. I'm very interested to see where we go with this one, but that's my next read. That's my thoughts on The Girls I've Been, and I will touch base with you when I'm a little ways into this book. Hey everybody, just wanted to give you an update on this book before I get too far into it. I am currently on page 200. Chapter 19. So I've made a pretty good dent in this book. I am definitely flying through this one. It's about a 4-year time jump, I believe, between the first duology and this book. It is following a pretty narrow amount of characters from the first duology. Like, it's definitely primarily about those characters, but it's not all of the side characters that you're following. So I'm a little bit disappointed. Two of my favorite characters haven't really appeared in this book, so that is unfortunate. I'm hoping that they're at least in the novella series, or in like the novella books that come in between this, but it doesn't seem like they're going to really be a part of this duology specifically. But I am really liking where they're going with it. The main character in this one was not my favorite from the original duology, and I'm intentionally being vague about names here because I don't want to spoil things for the original duology, but these characters have definitely grown on me reading this book. I love where the plot's going. It is very much so, Shanghai has fully delved into civil war. Japan is working on invading, and you are following two sets of siblings. One is a set of sisters, and then the other is a set of brothers, and basically each sibling pairing has one person on either side of the civil war. So like there's one sister and one brother, and then one sister and one brother on the other side. So you've got them they're all like covert agents, operatives for the side that they're part of, but they're all on different sides. So if that makes sense. So there's definitely this interesting tension of between like the siblings being on opposite sides of the Civil War. You've got people working together that don't necessarily want to be working together because they've been assigned onto a mission. And overall, it's just really fun. Lots of interesting things happening. These books almost have a little bit of like a sci-fi vibe to them. The first duology had like this monster madness thing that was going around. This one has some kind of like chemical agent that people are being killed with. So there's definitely a little bit of like we're messing with some interesting science in addition to the historical fiction situation that's going on. So I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm obviously cruising through it, so I probably will be done with this in a couple days. I don't know if I'm going to update again before I finish the book, but I am really enjoying it. I have heard a few people say that you can jump into this without reading the first duology. I think you will be a little bit confused. There are a lot of references to the events of the first duology, and like you may be able to figure it out if you're okay with just not really understanding in depth what's going on, but there are a lot of references to the original duology, and the original duology is so good, like why would you not read it? So I'd highly recommend starting with the first duology and then going into this book, because I think it helps give you a lot of context on these characters, on a lot of the things that they're mentioning. I feel like there is a lot about the main character in this book that is based off of how she has moved on from the events of the first duology. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it so far. I'm really enjoying it. I'm having a fun time. I'm really glad I decided to continue the series, but I will check in with you again when I'm done with this book, and then we will move on to the last one for this video. Okay guys, I have not filmed a ton since I last talked to you, but I have finished Foul Lady Fortune. I didn't film much because I was reading this like early in the morning when the lighting was terrible, or at work during meals, all sorts of things like that. So I just really didn't film a ton, but this book was so good. I love this world. I love Chloe Gong's writing. I think she just hooks you in so well. She does the science fiction part in a way that doesn't dive into too many details, but you're still like understanding it, following it without having to like dive into how it's working, which I think is a really fun way if you want something that introduces you to some of the elements of sci-fi but doesn't feel like a sci-fi book. This is a great option. I think I said this at the beginning, but I wasn't sure how I felt about the character that is like the main one in this book. I actually really grew to like her. I really love all of these characters. There was some very fun plot twists in this book. There was lots of big reveals, even at the end of the epilogue. Some big information was dropped. I definitely need to get my hands on the next book. I have some theories about where we're going. That being said, this is majorly ending on a cliffhanger. It is not one of those books that kind of wraps the plot up and then sets it up for the next book type of a book. It is like you read half the book, we're halfway through the story kind of a book. So I'm very interested to see where the next one goes. What I'm most intrigued about is that I'm pretty sure you read the novella next. I'll have to do some research on that, but I'm pretty sure that you read the novella and then the next book in the duology, so I'm very interested to see where we're going with all of that. And I'm definitely gonna have to get to the next book soon. This is a 5-star. I love this series. I don't really know what else to say. It's just so good. She hooks me. I just really thoroughly enjoyed it. I highly recommend. With that being said, we are now on to the last book in this video, which is Magpie Murders. Switching back to a red cover and back to a thriller mystery. So I'm really interested in this one. Like I said before, I've read some books by this author, but I haven't read anything that wasn't in that one Hawthorne and Horowitz series. So I'm interested to see how I feel about some of his other characters, and we'll see. This one is a pretty thick book for being a mystery thriller. Usually I feel like mystery thrillers are shorter, but maybe it's just bound thick because this is only like 236 pages. So really not that big, even though it feels just as thick as the book I just finished, and that one was almost 500 pages. No, it is 500 pages. This one's 511, this one is 236. I don't understand how this works. Like, they seem so similar in size, but that means I should fly through this one really quickly, but this is my next read, so I will bring you along and let you know my thoughts on it. I'm a little over halfway. I came to the realization that this book actually is a lot longer than I thought it was, because there's kind of a book within a book. So you have this introduction. I can't remember how much I've explained about the premise of this book, but you have this introduction where basically you're reading from the point of view of this editor, and she's like, I got this book, it changed my life, here you go, read it. So then you start reading through the manuscript of the book that she's working on editing, and then it jumps back into, I guess, present view, or like real life. I don't know how to put this, but, and the page numbering starts over. So you've basically read a whole 213 page book, and then it starts back over. So I think this one actually is closer to like 500 pages because you have double numbering happening. But basically you get through this manuscript and then you jump back into the editor and how this is kind of affecting her life and tying back in. I liked the manuscript, like the book we were reading. I don't know that I'm loving the part so much with the editor. It feels like we've started a whole new book, because all of a sudden I'm learning a whole new cast of characters and I'm having to try and remember their names, and then she keeps referencing things in the manuscript, so then you're having to try and remember what happened in that in order to figure out how it ties in, and so it's kind of a lot. I don't know that I'm as into it anymore now that we've started back over, but maybe as I get a little bit further in. I think we're probably going to spend an equal amount of time in the manuscript versus out of the manuscript, so maybe as we get a little bit further into this part I will find it more interesting. But I'm currently 100 pages into the part post reading the book she's editing, so it's a little confusing to explain, but I think I have, I don't know, like 150 pages, something like that left. So that's where I'm at. I'm gonna go finish this book and then I will come and let you know my final thoughts and end off this video. But So far it's alright. I wouldn't say it's the most amazing book I've ever read yet, but if it has a really good twist and ties things in well, it has potential to get a lot higher rating from me than it's currently sitting at. I am here to end off this video because I have finished The Magpie Murders. I've been trying to collect my thoughts on how I felt about this book. I think I'm gonna give it like a 3.5 stars. It was a good book. It just wasn't amazing. And I feel like those are always the hardest books to put my thoughts into words because I don't really have anything super good to say about it, but I don't have anything necessarily super bad to say about it. It's just like fine. I definitely enjoyed the book within the book more than I did the actual characters, which was a little bit of a bummer when it got to the point where we were trying to tie in the more current characters. So that kind of brought it down a bit for me. I feel like it just didn't tie in as much as I thought it was going to the book within the book. Like I thought that this book the author had written was going to be majorly connected to some of the events that were happening in the editors' lives, but it just didn't really tie in that closely. It was very, wow, the lighting's changing, sorry. It was very loosely connected, where it was almost more so that something in the book would trigger an idea and then she'd kind of go and run with that, but it wasn't really exactly like how it was in the book. It was just more so something that made her think, and then she eventually got around to putting some of the things together, but it was two totally separate storylines. They didn't really have that much to do with each other. They just had like these little similarities that she kept picking up on. And so it just, I don't know, it didn't link up as much as I was hoping it would. I thought it'd be more fun if they were a little more interconnected. I do believe that this is a series, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think as a series, I don't feel any need to read any more books with these characters in this world. I felt like it wrapped up perfectly fine, and I'm good with just leaving it there. So that's The Magpie Murders. Not the best book I've ever read, but if you're looking for a murder mystery, it's fine. So I don't think that Anthony Horowitz is gonna be at the top of my list of writers. I think he kind of has just sat in the middle. Every book that I've read of his has just been okay. It's not blowing me out of the water. I'm not overly impressed with what he's come up with, but like they're fine. I've got nothing against them. They just aren't blowing me away. So with that, that is the end of this video. So just as a quick recap, all right book. 5 stars, loved it, amazing book. I have already purchased the novellas that you read after this, so I will be continuing this very soon. That will probably be in my wrap up at the end of the month if you want to see my thoughts on the next one. And then The Girls I've Been, not my favorite. It was fine, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. But anyways, that was my reading red and pink covers without really doing any romance. So there were some romance subplots in the books, but I just am not a romance reader. So this is my take on doing a Valentine's reading challenge, but this video will be going up on Valentine's Day. So I hope you have a wonderful Valentine's Day, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you in the next one very soon. Bye.